5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
I'd love to tell you all a little bit more about what we're doing here in Appalachia to, build the solar market in the region and to catalyze solar project development. And what we've found, there's just been this real chicken and egg question with the solar industry in Central Appalachia and many other places. Workforce is definitely always the, the elephant in the room, creating jobs, local jobs, good jobs for people in these regions where there is, as you mentioned, Dan, low workforce participation and lack of employment opportunities. So in order to do that, though, you have to have demand. You have to have a project pipeline that is, strong enough and sustainable enough to keep people employed. And so that's how we're approaching this pretty thorny issue of market development and employment development and workforce development. We're focusing on, how can we spur more solar projects to get constructed on the ground in rural communities in Central Appalachia. And so one way we're trying to solve for that is through this Appalachian Solar Finance Fund, which is a financial and technical assistance program, the goal of which is to catalyze these markets. And we are focusing specifically on communities that have been impacted by the decline of the coal industry. So there's 147 counties that we're serving throughout 6 Central Appalachian states. And you can go to solarfinancefund.org to see the full list of counties. And one of the really fun things that I get to do as the director of the Appalachian Solar Finance Fund is to award direct subgrants to nonprofit and public institutions to help them go solar. So we are able to. I just have to say, when I first started this this program and this role, someone referred to me as Solar Oprah because I get to give away money for solar, and I love being Solar Oprah. And I don't have nearly as much money to give away as Oprah, for just to be clear, but it is just kind of a dream job for me to just be able to directly help these really worthwhile projects get off the ground and to help them navigate the whole process from start to finish, to figure out how to fund and finance a project, to grapple with all the technical, pre-development issues that come up, and to sort of hold hands of these local community anchor organizations to help them realize, this dream of going solar that they have. So the types of organizations that we help are, as I mentioned, nonprofit and public entities. So that includes K-12 schools, colleges and universities, local governments, municipal fire and rescue departments, water treatment plants, faith institutions. We've worked with several churches so far, and churches are one of these great examples of really impactful community anchors in these local rural communities that provide so many public services and civic support services for the most the people in their community that need it most. So we're able to provide that direct subgrant assistance to those entities. And we're also able to work with local commercial businesses to help them with technical assistance support. So any type of local small commercial scale distributed solar project, that's really the scale we're working at, trying to build out and to increase interest in that small scale level of project development. So yeah, go ahead and pop that slide forward. Thank you, Dan. I want to shine a light on some of the cool cool work and projects that we've already been able to do, we got this program launched about a year ago with really important funding from the Appalachian Regional Commission's Power Initiative, as well as many other wonderful funders. And so within the past year, we've already received several dozen eligible applications, and we have pledged over $350,000 toward a dozen projects throughout Central Appalachia. So we've been able to support solar projects on nonprofit youth education and leadership institutions, on public county school systems, community event facilities, community farms, as I mentioned, several faith institutions, local nonprofits supporting low-income and unhoused people, even an animal shelter. So we're really trying to, support a wide range of these important, small, but really impactful institutions and anchors in their communities. Already there's been over $8 million of public and private investment that'll go into these projects, 4 megawatts of new solar development in the region, over $13 million in energy cost savings for these institutions, and some really cool workforce development programming as well. So one of our goals with this program is not just to benefit the project owner or the property owner that's going to be able to capture energy cost savings from the lifetime of their solar array, but we're also, investing in the local solar developers and installers and companies that are working in this region to build out these distributed solar projects. And that's one of the key goals and outcomes that we want to see with this program, is growth within that solar development sector, within those local businesses that are employing local people to actually perform these installations. And so I'll give you an example of a pretty cool model that we've helped to develop in Southwest Virginia, called the Solar Workforce Accelerator. And that is a partnership between Appalachian Voices and 2 community colleges in Southwest Virginia. It's funded by the Virginia Coalfield Economic Development Authority, and we're able to provide paid on-the-job apprenticeships for apprentices working on solar installations in this region. And then the community colleges provide coursework and training and help create that apprenticeship pipeline from their students and local workers. So it's already been a really successful model. There is a whole slew of solar projects that have been under construction this summer and into this fall on county school systems in Southwest Virginia. And they were able to employ, their own high school students and community college students as paid summer apprentices, working at a really competitive wage. I'll also add that we want to make sure we're offering paid work that is not just, lip service to on the job experience, but that actually gives people a living wage, and that gives young people an opportunity to get a foothold in this industry and to think about it as a longer term career. A couple of the apprentices who had these summer employment opportunities with this program have gone on to full-time employment with the contractor that's working in this area to actually install solar in the region. So I'm proud of this program. I think it's a really successful model of local workforce development programming that is replicable and scalable for other Appalachian communities. And I think what it's really taken is that creative partnership between the community colleges and the schools and the developers working in this area that are willing to take a chance and try some of this innovative workforce programming. And it's also, they recognize that they need this because they need to hire more people. And of course, finding workers is a real challenge right now. Thinking about the whole stack of like what it takes in terms of financing solar. Our little Appalachian Solar Finance Fund plays a pretty small role, but I think it's a significant role. It can help sort of nudge projects forward that otherwise get stuck in this pre-development stage where, somebody's just kind of spinning their wheels and it looks overwhelming and it's a lot of money up front and they don't really know how to navigate the financial ecosystem to like find capital and understand how solar financing works for them. So we're trying to work um, with solar investors, with financiers, and lenders, and connect them with folks who want to go solar but need help to navigate that whole system. So thinking about what this looks like, we've got these small grants that we're able to offer and technical assistance support, and then on top of that, like again, I come back to how I can't overstate how excited I am about the IRA's passage. Incentives have historically driven the growth of this industry, and that slice of the pie just got a whole lot bigger thanks to the IRA. For those of us working in the nonprofit and public solar space in that small commercial scale, the direct pay option for the solar investment tax credit is an absolute game changer. It allows this entire sector to access, a really critical tax credit that they were just not able to access in a lot of cases before the IRA. So I think we're going to see huge growth and development in that sector of distributed solar. We're going to see a lot more schools and governments and public institutions taking advantage of that incentive. There's also some really important adders that I think are going to be very impactful in Central Appalachia. The Energy Communities Adder, which has not been finalized in terms of its definition or eligibility guidelines. And we're all sort of waiting and hoping to weigh in with Treasury and the IRS and the various agencies that are developing these final rules to ensure that these adders are accessible to those communities that need them. But the Energy Communities Adder could be an important additional incentive for a lot of places in Central Appalachia. There are also low income adders and domestic manufacturing adders that latter might be challenging at first because of supply pipelines, but I think it's going to be very significantly impactful in developing our domestic solar manufacturing supply chains, which over the medium to longer term is going to be absolutely critical in building a domestic solar industry from top to bottom. As we work up this pyramid, there's also an important role for credit enhancements to play in penciling out these projects. And we work with a partner called Invest Appalachia. They're a regional fund that provides a really flexible array of credit enhancement and financing for these projects to help absorb risk and get projects going. One thing I think we're going to see more of, thanks to the direct pay ITC option, is the need for bridge loan financing for institutions and entities that know they're able to access that ITC remittance, but they need a bridge loan to cover that capital gap until that government payment comes back to them. And the timeline, is anybody's guess. Hopefully it won't be too long a timeline. But I think we're going to see, an increased need for bridge loans. And one thing that we're talking through and developing at the Appalachian Solar Finance Fund is ways that we might be able to offset the interest and fees associated with those bridge loans for small nonprofit and public projects. So unsecured bridge loans, interest rate buy downs, and loan guarantees are the types of credit enhancements that can really help absorb risk for projects that are otherwise viable and impactful. And then, of course, we're working to connect these projects with investors, third-party owners, PPA and lease operators, and develop, ownership structures that will allow folks to benefit from this development in this financial field. And then finally, at the top of the stack remains really important, just like traditional financing and lending from banks and financial institutions. We work a lot with CDFIs in the region and non-conventional lenders like the Invest Appalachia Fund to provide financing for impactful projects. So, we who work in the industry get really used to navigating the complexity of solar finance and solar technology. But for, the superintendent of a public school system or the executive director of a local nonprofit organization, a lot of this is very alien. And so one of the roles we play at the Solar Finance Fund is to really help navigate this world and these options for people and help connect them to financing that's going to work for them. And in many cases, it's out there. It's just a matter of, knowing where to look for it and how to ask for it. So I think that gives you, a pretty comprehensive overview of what we're doing with the program, what our goals are, and the role we see ourselves playing within that bigger solar finance and project development ecosystem. So yeah, Dan, I guess maybe I'll turn it back over to you to see if you have any follow-up questions on any of those topics, or if folks from the audience, I don't know if we're taking questions from the audience. Maybe I should have clarified that before saying it.
Yeah, let's take your questions. Yeah, if you have a question, you can drop in the chat. I have some questions. I'll let them stack up for a while because I certainly have a lot of questions. I definitely wanted to square you up and give you the opportunity to come back to, because you're doing so many things. And we don't know who's watching this now or later. Can I square you up on who are the eligible entities? Why should they be working with you? Can you go through just the elevator pitch, the ABCs of who you're looking to work with, and how you can help them?
Yeah, so entities that are eligible for solar finance fund support include nonprofits and public institutions. So that is everything from local governments and schools to faith institutions to civic organizations working in their local communities. If you are not a for-profit business, then we can help you with direct sub-grant award support. And if you are a for-profit business, we can also help you with technical assistance support. And so that can look like assistance with grant writing to access USDA Rural Energy for America program grants and loan guarantees. That's a really important program for our rural communities. We can help you with engineering and design, technical assistance, or any sort of interconnection and inspection pieces that you might need some support with throughout the entire development process. So I'm really here to serve as like a conduit and a resource to connect solar projects directly with the funding they need, and also to connect you with financial institutions and lenders and investors that can help finance your project with repayable investment. And solarfinancefund.org is the website to go to if you want to learn more about our program. And it does include a full list of the counties that are eligible for the program. And those are coal impacted counties in Central Appalachia.
Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.